First, let's get one thing straight. Ducati did not just slap red plastics on a random 450 and call it Desmo450 MX. They built a real project, raced it, and put real names on it. That part matters because in motocross, perception can kill a bike before it ever turns a lap. Ducati avoided that mistake. This was not a rebadged engine, neither a one-off concept meant to sit under lights at a show. Ducati came into the dirt world with a purpose-built machine, the Ducati Desmo450 MX, designed from the ground up to race motocross at the highest level. At the heart of the bike is a 449.6 cubic centimeter single-cylinder engine. But the real headline is the valve train. Ducati has not abandoned its identity. They brought Desmodromic valve actuation into motocross. No valve springs, mechanical control of opening and closing. It's the same philosophy Ducati has used in its most extreme racing machines for decades, now adapted to dirt. By the way, if you care about real motocross logic, not marketing, subscribe. That's what this channel is built for. Now let's go back to our topic. On paper, the numbers are aggressive. Ducati claims 63.5 horsepower at 9,400 RPM, 39.5 pound-feet of torque at 7,500 RPM, and a rev limit pushing 11,900 RPM. Those are not conservative figures. That puts the Desmo 450 MX right in the heavyweight class with the most powerful bikes on the gate. This was Ducati saying, "We belong here." But motocross doesn't care about paper, so Ducati raced it. The prototype won on debut at the Italian Motocross Prestige Championship at Mantova, with Alessandro Lupino taking a moto win and second overall. That debut mattered because motocross doesn't forgive soft launches. If the bike had problems immediately, the narrative would have been written in a single weekend. Instead, Ducati doubled down. They developed the bike through the season and went on to win the Italian MX1 title in 2024 with Lupino. That's not a fluke. That's proof the bike could survive a full championship under pressure with starts, motos, mistakes, weather, and wear all piling up. Then Ducati escalated the project. They committed to MXGP, the highest level of motocross in the world, fielding a full factory effort for the 2025 season with Jeremy Seewer and Mattia Guadagnini under the Aruba Ducati Factory MX team banner. These are not development riders. These are riders who live at the front of the field. And for the American audience, Ducati made its first real move by putting Antonio Cairoli on the bike for 2 rounds of the 2025 AMA Pro Motocross Championship at Redbud and Spring Creek. Same rider who massively developed the bike and participated in the whole project. From a technical and sporting perspective, Ducati did almost everything right. So why did the dirt bike world, especially the hardcore motocross crowd, barely react? Because motocross doesn't reward arrivals. It rewards endurance. Motocross is one of the most skeptical motorsports cultures on the planet, and it didn't get that way by accident. Dirt bikes live brutal lives. They get ridden hard by riders who aren't always precise, aren't always fresh, and definitely aren't always gentle. Bikes get over-revved when they're cold, lugged when they shouldn't be, pressure washed incorrectly, crashed, bent, straightened, and raced again anyway. In that environment, trust is everything. Motocross riders don't buy ideas, they buy patterns. And Ducati hadn't built a pattern yet. Most of Ducati's early success happened outside the weekly American motocross conversation. Winning in Italy matters, MXGP matters. The gravitational center of motocross culture still lives in the United States in supercross stadiums and pro motocross nationals that happen every single weekend, year after year. If a bike isn't lining up week after week in those series, it doesn't feel real yet to the majority of riders. They might respect it, they might follow it, but they don't internalize it. And when Ducati's first big American headline involved a legendary rider doing 2 outdoor rounds at the age of 39, the reaction was admiration, not fear. It felt ceremonial, not disruptive. Cool moment, not a takeover. Motocross hype has a short half-life. If it's not reinforced constantly, it fades into background noise. Then there's the unavoidable reality Ducati faced, the new brand penalty. In motocross terms, Ducati is a rookie, and motocross treats rookies harshly, regardless of pedigree. Riders have seen promising bikes come and go. They've seen brands enter with confidence and exit quietly when the realities of parts supply, support, and long-term durability caught up. So when Ducati showed up, the instinctive reaction wasn't excitement. It was an evaluation. Let's see how it holds up. Let's see what breaks. Let's see how hard it is to fix. That mindset isn't negative, it's protective. Riders don't want to be the ones discovering expensive problems mid-season. Timing also worked against Ducati in a subtle way. For a long period, the Desmo450 MX existed more as a story than as a bike people could actually buy and race. Prototypes, race updates, announcements, future availability, and motocross riders don't operate on future promises. They operate on weekends. If your current bike works, you don't pause your season waiting for something new. You already have suspension settings dialed. You already own spare wheels, filters, and gearing. You already trust the platform. Momentum matters more than novelty in motocross. When the Ducati approached production availability, it landed at a premium price point. That immediately placed it against machines with decades of proven reliability, massive aftermarket ecosystems, and dealer networks that live and breathe dirt bikes. Even if the Ducati is excellent, switching platforms isn't just buying a bike, it's buying into a new system, and motocross riders are loyal to systems. That loyalty doesn't come from emotion, it comes from maintenance. Riders are loyal to brands because they know how to work on them, know where to get parts fast, know which fixes are real and which are myths. They know the quirks, they know what breaks first, they know how to limp a bike through a moto when something goes wrong. Ducati had to break into that reality from the outside. Then there's Desmodromic valves, the most Ducati thing Ducati could have brought into motocross. To Ducati fans, Desmo is sacred. It's engineering purity, it's racing DNA. But motocross riders hear unique valve train and immediately think about service complexity. Unique systems mean fewer mechanics with deep experience, fewer proven shortcuts, fewer backyard rebuild guides. Even if the system is reliable, perception alone can slow adoption. Motocross riders don't mind spending money on suspension, tires, and entry fees. What they hate is uncertainty around maintenance. They want to know that when a top end is due, it's straightforward, predictable, and well understood. Even if Desmo proves bulletproof in the long run, Ducati had to overcome decades of ingrained assumptions. On track, Ducati also entered motocross during a performance plateau. Modern 450s are absurdly capable. Power is not the limiting factor for most riders. Fitness, technique, and confidence are. So being fast isn't enough to change minds. A motocross bike has to feel right in the places riders care about most. Front-end trust. How it settles into ruts, how predictable it is when traction disappears, how it behaves when the rider is tired and mistakes start stacking up. Those qualities don't show up on dyno charts. They show up over seasons. And Ducati simply hasn't had those seasons yet. Another missing ingredient was a long-running American narrative. Motocross thrives on storylines, rivalries, repetition. A bike becomes relevant when someone wins on it repeatedly against familiar names, in familiar conditions, under pressure. 2 outdoor rounds with a legend is a statement, but it's not a storyline. It doesn't build weekly tension. And that storyline is finally coming. In 2026, Ducati will officially enter AMA Supercross for the first time in its history, debuting at Anaheim 1, the most symbolic gate drop in the sport. And they're not doing it quietly. They're lining up with Dylan Ferrandis, a former 450 motocross AMA champion, alongside Justin Barcia, one of the most aggressive, experienced, and battle-tested riders in the field. For the first time ever, Ducati won't be judged on press releases or overseas results. They'll be judged every weekend on tight tracks, in whoops, rhythm lanes, and lap timing. Until now, without that repetition, the Desmo450 MX stayed intellectually impressive but emotionally distant. And that leads directly to the core truth of this entire situation. The dirt bike world didn't ignore Ducati because Ducati failed. It ignored Ducati because motocross culture is allergic to marketing-first moments. This sport doesn't clap when you arrive. It watches, it waits, it judges quietly. Motocross wants to see if the bike survives privateer abuse. It wants to see if parts show up on time. It wants to see if the bike keeps running when things go wrong. Ducati has already passed the first tests. The bike is real, it's fast, and it can win. The next phase is the hardest one. Earning trust through repetition. That's when motocross stops ignoring you. And Ducati is just getting to that point now. If you've ever noticed that certain riders always end up on certain bikes, there's a reason for that. Brands kind of pick their riders as much as riders pick brands. I break that whole idea down in the next video, every dirt bike brand explained and what it says about you. And if this kind of breakdown is your thing, hit subscribe. That's exactly what this channel's about.